Country Music Matters, and we're here visiting with the lovely, talented Sarah Dunn.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to CMA Fest. How's it going?
Thank you. It's been chaotic as always. Like CMA Fest is always like very chaotic, but it's so cool to see. I mean, when you look around, like that is what country music's all about: is the fans and really the support that country music gets. It's amazing. It's amazing to look around and see all of this. So I'm very excited.
Now, how many have you been to as an artist?
I think this is my third or fourth year. I can't remember. I lose track after a bit, but I think it's my third or fourth year, and every time it just seems to get more and more amazing. There's always new talent being presented, so it's an inspiring event even for an artist to come to.
Now, we see such a surge with the females now.
Yes.
That has to be proud. Now, who do you have on your radar that you would just love to get with?
Well, I've always been very appreciative of the classic country females because they're really the ones that paved the way. So, I'm a huge fan of like Dolly and Reba and Loretta and all the ladies that paved the way. But then you're having these females that are coming up like Miranda and Miranda Lambert and Maren Morris and Ashley Monroe and all the Pistolanis really. So you have all of these strong female characters. Casey Musgraves is another great example. These strong female characters that are bringing females back to the forefront, and they're just not going to be quiet. They're going to let their voice be heard. So it is very encouraging. I've always respected strong females, and they've always been a source of inspiration for me. So it's very encouraging and awesome to see the females sort of in the forefront of country music right now.
We're sort of introducing you to our fans. Tell us who you are.
I'm Sarah Dunn. I'm from the Ozarks. So I grew up in an area of rich musical heritage. I grew up in a musical family. So I was constantly surrounded by musicians and learned to appreciate every genre. I think that was very much an advantage for me, and it's affected my writing in that way. But I just came up in a sort of a poor environment. I don't know, not a poor environment. We always had so much love. Like my mom always made sure that we felt loved, that we had everything that we needed. But we just grew up on the poor side of town, I guess is the right way to say it. So I think that it's made me appreciate everything that happens to me. Everything that I try to pursue in my career means that much more to me. So really, that's a huge part of why I work so hard for what I do. It's a big part of my foundation to be from a family that has such a rich musical heritage, coming up and just not having a lot of material things, I guess. Growing up, it really affects me in the way that I'm very grateful for everything that happens.
Now, did you set yourself a goal and say, if I don't by such and such, and this isn't what I'm supposed to do?
I mean, I think we all get into that thought process sometimes. I think every artist has that moment where you have your doubts, you have some discouragements and that kind of thing, and obstacles that you feel like are really difficult to overcome. I don't think I ever set a hard deadline for myself. I think there were times that, for instance, my great uncle said that someday I'd be opening up for Charlie Daniels, and I sort of just dismissed that at the time. I said, that is never going to happen. Yeah. That's like impossible. And so, and it did happen. Unfortunately, after he had already passed away, but it did happen. And so when that came to fruition, that was an eye opener, for me. So I think it was sort of the reverse. Like I never set a deadline. I think that other people said, well, you're gonna make it, and I had some skepticism about that. But I think what it is, it's really about the journey. And as I've matured, I feel like it's become more important to me. The journey's become more important than the destination.
How do you know when to pick your first song? How do you know that this is the song I'm going to debut? What was your debut, and why?
That's a great question because being so new at the music industry, not so much to the music, but the business part of it, I was really unsure how to proceed at first, how to pick a song. So I relied very heavily on a great crew here in Nashville. I mean, I've got some, great supporters backing me. So I really relied on their opinion a lot. And that's sort of at first how I decided what to do, because I wanted to, for sure, put out a song that was going to connect with an audience, that was going to, that was going to register with people. So that's really how I did it at first, but now it's sort of transitioned to the point where if it connects with me, if I have an emotional connection to the song, that's naturally my choice to put out as a single, because I feel like we have a collective human experience where we all, we experience the same emotions, maybe in different, different concepts or different perspectives, but that we're ultimately connected in that way, and so really that's how I choose my songs. If it connects with me, I feel like it's going to strike a chord with someone else as well.
What got me the other day, I discovered your Merle Haggard. And I was just blown away by that. I had never seen it before, and I was looking for your songs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, listen to this girl. So I had to put that out there right away. I said, this is a voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I've always been a huge fan of the classics, of those country legends, because like I said, they did pave the way. They built everything. Like if you look around Nashville, they've built all of this. They were the pioneers of country music. So I have a deep and profound respect for everything that they did, and those were the tunes that I listened to growing up and have influenced me greatly. But Merle was especially one of those voices and one of those just personalities and characters that sort of defined country music for me. I think my earliest memory of seeing Merle was on Hee Haw.
Yep.
I think he was a guest on Hee Haw, and I was sitting on my mom's lap, and I was around 5 or 6 years old, and I was sitting there watching him sing, and he didn't have a beard at that time, very smooth face, had a side part going on, very handsome.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love instantly, and I looked at my mom and I said, I'm gonna marry him someday. He had the voice.
As a kid, yeah.
He's just gorgeous. So he was probably one of my first crushes ever. And she said, honey, he's old enough to be your grandpa. And so I didn't hear the end of that for a long time, but he just seemed like one of these people that was just larger than life and completely invincible. So when I heard the news of him passing away, I was on my way down to Nashville from the Ozarks where I live, and I was getting ready to complete the album and was feeling good, and then I got this call from my bass player at the time, and he said, Merle passed away. And I was just stunned. I mean, I think the whole world was stunned. And as I was sitting there ruminating on this, I just brought out a sheet of paper and I started writing down every Merle song I could think of. I'm like, this man has he had so many hits, he had so many good songs. So I just, just out of a whim, I guess, I just started writing down the titles. And as I was looking at them, they just seemed to meld together. And it wrote itself. The song just wrote itself. So I immediately wrote the song. I just recorded it on my phone and posted it online, and the outpouring of love and support and all of the memories that people were sharing about Merle just came to light. And it was so beautiful, so encouraging, and really that's how the song came to be. So we ended up recording it that week in Nashville. We did an official recording, and all of the proceeds, you can find it on iTunes, and all of the proceeds go to musicunites.org.
Okay.
So it helps kids, that organization helps kids who may not have the resources or someone to encourage them to play. So it connects kids who want to be musicians with musicians.
Okay.
And it's a great.
And what was the title of the song?
It's called All My Best.
All My Best. Okay, yeah. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
What have you found most interesting in your career so far?
Most interesting. Oh, that's a really great question. That question could cover a lot of different things. I think the most interesting thing is all of the different kinds of people that I've met while on the road and just playing shows. Country fans are they're from every different walk of life. And I think that is the most interesting thing, to hear their stories, to hear, why country music is so integral to their lives. I think that is really the most interesting thing about what I do, is talking to people and, you know, hearing how my music and every artist's music affects them. That keeps me going.
Now, as you've opened and toured with other artists, what do you take away, especially from the legends? Like, what do you take away from their shows or what they do or what they've taught you?
That's also a great question. What I take away from opening up for artists, or even just meeting them, even if it's just a very brief moment where I shake hands with someone who has been in this business a long time, who's been a musician or an artist for a long time, is that they get to a point in their lives where they don't worry as much. You know, I guess when you're younger, you worry about a lot of things, about how you're perceived, or how your music is going to be perceived. And when they get to a certain point in their lives, they're just making art for art's sake. They're putting out music that they believe in.
Yeah.
And it becomes less about getting ahead in life and more about just the music that they're putting out, if that makes sense. So it's actually a very good lesson. And Don Schlitz, I actually met him recently, who wrote The Gambler.
Okay.
I met him recently, and he gave me one of the greatest pieces of advice I've ever gotten. He said, don't worry when you're writing songs about being, you know, rich and famous, about what's popular, about what's trending. He said, write your songs because that is your experience and that's what you want to do. He said everything else is going to fall into place. And so that's excellent advice, and it's exactly what I needed at that moment. So that's one of the best things I've ever heard.
Tell us about the new song, the video you have out right now.
We just shot a video for the brand new single Figure It Out, and we chose Palo Duro Canyon in Texas as a location because the landscape is absolutely beautiful. It's just stark and colorful, and there's so much texture and so many things to see. But then again, it also, you know, allows you to focus on, you know, on the lyrics, on the meaning of the song. So, and we wanted to do something totally different. We tried, you know, previously I'd done videos where it was sort of the typical country music video, and there were a lot of, you know, country elements in it. But this one I decided to sort of color outside the lines. I did different hair, different makeup. We wanted it to be almost surreal. So when you're watching it, it's like you're seeing inside of someone's thoughts or inside of someone's dreams, or you know, their imaginings, inside their soul, what they're going through whenever they're going through a breakup, which is what the song's about. It's just my take on heartbreak and moving on with your life whenever a relationship ends. So I'm really excited about it. Just debuted this week, so I would very much appreciate to hear, you know, what people think about it. I'm very excited. It's different for me.
So what do we have going on the rest of the year, although the year's almost over?
A lot of different things. I always like to go out on the road, which is what I'm going to be doing in the next few months. Going out on the road and just showing my face to all my radio supporters.
Okay.
Because I feel like I just wouldn't be in the position that I'm at, and the song wouldn't be doing as well as it is without all the support of radio. So I like to have that face-to-face time. We're going to have some shows down here in Nashville, and we've joined the Ford Music family as well.
Yeah, I read about that, yeah.
So we have some exciting stuff coming up, and you can always catch that on DunnBand.com. We always have new things added to the roster.
Now, do you live here in Nashville?
I divide my time, actually. I don't live here officially. I live in Carthage, Missouri.
Okay.
And I just like to be down here about half of my time, you know, hanging out with my crew and, you know, being really immersed in the community of Nashville. And then the rest of the time I spend at home playing with my dogs.
Well, we appreciate your time and coming over here, and enjoy the rest of CMA Fest.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.